I was doing the outro, and that's when I realized that I didn't address how nice the setup looks like and how good my mic is. Great. Hi, welcome to the third episode of Life's Great and Other Lies. If you're new here, hello. Thanks for joining in. This podcast or this like sort of series ish kind of thingy is essentially me sitting down for a little more than 10 to 12 minutes and then just like talking about things from the top of my head. And they could be anything from like random questions about art or creativity that have come in my head or that maybe someone has sent to me in DMs or maybe based off of like a conversation that I've had. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I sit down and talk for more than 10 to 12 minutes. And this is a great time for me to remind you that if in case you're planning to paint, then bring out your paint supplies. Like put down your canvas, choose your colors, get started. And if in case you're listening to this while doing dishes, great. I hope I hope you finish the dishes faster than usual, but not fast enough that this episode ends before that. Yes, because I want the viewer attention. Okay, so the last time I was recording Life's Great and Other Lies, funnily enough, I actually had just given my midterms of the first term of college, and I have just given the midterms for the second term of college. And I'm sitting down and recording this on a Friday evening. Just nothing better than that. Nothing I'd rather do. But yeah, I think 3 months is a good amount of time for like me to accumulate topics or like think about things to talk about to a camera at whatever like 1 a.m. 2 a.m. at night. And it's also a good enough amount of time for like something to happen to me, for my like worldview to change or for me to have like new opinions. And okay, so because I'm very bad at remembering what exactly I have to say, I have some of my talking points here on my laptop. And if you see me look in this direction, please pardon me. I am looking at my talking points to make sure that I don't know, checking them off the list or just like looking at them and addressing them or whatever. Just like not talking about stupid things for like 3 minutes straight and then realizing that it does not make any sense. So, yes. Oh, also, so in a recent reel, I was talking about how I'm camera shy. And that's been going on for a little while. Like, I knew that I was camera shy, as in, like, I feel very awkward painting in front of a camera. And this is sort of rooted in a lot of things. Like, I don't like people looking at me while I'm painting. A lot of artists have that. It feels very performative when it's like someone's looking at you. And I mean, although my art in its own can be a form of expression, me making art isn't like something that I would want people to see. I don't know, there's like this boundary of like privacy that also comes in. And along with that, usually what happens is that when I start painting, it's to like de-stress or to like get my mind off of something else. And then imagine like you're just sitting down to do something that you really love, let's say eat, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what, no, I can't eat yet, I have to do all of these other things before I eat. So essentially what I'm saying is that I'll have to like set up like two different cameras, make sure they're working, make sure the angles is right, and then the lighting is right. And then I can't film like in the evening, like when between like uh the afternoon and evening wala time, because the external light will change and then it'll look very jarring. And although I'll be able to see like what exactly is going on in the painting, but then like the cameras will be needed to adjust it. And just like this setup that you see, this space that you see, there is not really enough space to keep two cameras. Like whenever I film, it's a little bit of a struggle, and I don't mind struggling for a little bit, but when you're painting, like you paint for prolonged hours. Plus, okay, another thing, um, when I paint, I usually paint for like hours straight without getting up. And then I leave the painting for like maybe like a couple of hours or maybe days and then come back to it. So like and the thing is, any painting depends on painting per painting, but sometimes it gets stretched like over months, and sometimes it's over weeks. Like there have been times where I have like started working on a painting at like one point in the year, and then I finish it by the end of the year, and maybe like it even carries over years. And that's probably rooted in the fact that like until unless I don't want to make something or I don't want to work on a painting, I don't force myself to. I like to have that sort of like creative freedom, and that's why it becomes a little harder to like keep on filming and recording, because then I'm like, okay, acha, I'm done recording now. I need to import it, make sure it's in the right folder with all the other videos of me filming this particular painting. And plus then like you sort of lose track of it. Like there's this one painting that I've been painting over for 2 years, I think. Not exactly. Like it's I've been on and off working on it, and then it's just there in the side. Now it's a little bit of a pain to like record it and then be like, oh huh, I had recorded it earlier. See, now I'm going on this tangent that doesn't make sense. It only makes sense to me. So that is why okay, here's why I brought it up. So this is the painting that I've been currently working on. I am very proud of it, and I'm liking how it's turning out. And to sort of get over this thing of me being camera shy, or me like not really feeling comfortable in front of painting in front of a camera, or just in general to get rid of the laziness and the inertia of like setting up cameras and then painting and all of that, to get rid of it, to get over it, I'm trying to film myself as much as I can while painting this painting. And throughout this episode, if you're watching this on YouTube or if you're like passively listening to this on YouTube, throughout this episode, you will see like parts of this particular canvas being painted. And I don't know if I'll be able to like finish this painting by the time this video goes up. Most probably not. But I mean, we have a little bit of process sprinkled in, and I'm trying to like work on this thing that is not exactly a problem, but something that clearly needs to be worked upon. So that is that. I just wanted to address that. Okay, so I wanted to figure out a segue from talking about how I made a reel on like me being camera shy to talking about short form content. And I'm not able to figure out the segue, so here's the segue. Essentially, like for the longest time, I believed that creating short form content was selling out. And I think somewhere in my heart, I still continue to believe that, because initially I just like wrote it off as something like people would do, because it's so simple and it's so easy, and like it doesn't take real effort to make it, or it's not really creative or whatever. And then over time, when I realized that, hey, like short form content is here to stay, because all of our attention is very, very bad, and it's like very, very tiny. So this is what's going to happen. And when I started to accept that and be like, hey, you know what, you better start making it. Although like I think I'm still not over the fact that I think making short form content is selling out. I've begun to like understand that it's not, but I'm still not fully over it. And also it's really hard. That's what I realized after like starting to try to make short form content, to be able to like tell a full story from start to finish in such a way that you get people hooked onto it or get people involved in it in under a minute, and sometimes like under like 30 seconds, 15 seconds, is hard. It is very, very hard. And the thing is that it's only like 15 seconds, but throughout those 15 seconds, you need to make sure you have the person's attention, right? Because like 1 second it's boring, they're gonna swipe and they're gonna look at another reel. And like that way, like people are very unforgiving, and it makes sense, right? Like you're asking for someone's attention. It better be the best thing in the world. Like if someone is, if someone's asking for my attention, I would like for them to be aware of this fact that, like, you know what, you're asking for my attention, make sure you value it. And I'm sort of like, so like I'm trying to better learn how to tell stories in such a short span of time. And I think that's sort of what vaARTalap has become. It's this medium for me to learn how to tell stories and to like practice it, because until like 2 years back, I hadn't picked up a camera to film myself and to film in general. Like the occasional like videos I would take from my phone or like take from some camera that exists, that's there. But I had never really like sat down with all of the footage that I'd filmed and try to like make it into a story and like piece together and like, I don't know, just create something out of it. And through vaARTalap, I have begun to like learn all of that and to understand it better. And I'm really enjoying it. I think this is something that used to go on in my head much before. I think in like a lot of people of our generation have sort of grown up on YouTube, and a lot of times whenever we're doing things, we like narrate it and we say stuff acting as if we are in a YouTube video. I clearly remember as a kid, I used to do that like while I was maybe like cleaning up my room or like organizing things or whatever. I would act as if I was in a YouTube video, and it was really fun at that point in time. But yeah, I don't know why I brought that up. Essentially, yeah, I think I'm learning how to tell stories better, and it's really fun, but also really scary, because like stories are hard to think of. And I think that's why, so before like at the end of like 2021, I had started like posting once every week. And after a little while, I realized that, hey, like I can't come up and properly like execute a whole quote unquote story or like an idea of a story in a week. Like it's a little hard to sort of let a full idea ferment in just a week and like come to life. And along with that, I don't want to put that kind of a pressure on myself that no, you have to like get it on in under a week. And hence, so what I'm trying to do is, my uploading schedule for now is that every 2 weeks I have to come up with an upload. And I think that's like a decent level of consistency. And I sort of have to, because I'm choosing this upload schedule that is probably not the most well designed for the YouTube algorithm. Something that I sort of need to keep reminding myself and keep thinking about again and again is that I'm not doing this for the views. I'm not doing this for internet clout. I'm doing this because I enjoy telling stories, and this is something that's intriguing me at this stage in my life, and I'm gonna try to hone that skill. Because I mean, in general, even when you're communicating with people, you have to be able to tell a story through whatever you're communicating, because as people, we really like stories. That's what sort of like engages us. So I'm looking at like these videos and vaARTalap in a way. I'm also looking at it as like a form of me, a way for me to learn how to tell stories better, or at least like learn how I tell my stories. It's a weird thing. I'm trying to understand storytelling. That is where we will keep it. And like what I've realized is, in the sort of videos that I've made, although parts of my story are told while I am scripting, because I extensively script. I don't like I can talk off of talking points, but I prefer to have like a script of exactly what I'm going to say. And that is why usually I have two cameras, because if like I'm reading off of a script, I can remember a paragraph, say it, and then look into another camera when like I don't remember the next paragraph, then read it again, keep it in my mind, and then say it. Because or else there would be like a lot of jump cuts and it would be really jarring and I would hate it. So that is usually why I try to have like multiple angles. And sometimes like I really don't care about that, and I'll just like hold my phone or hold whatever piece of paper, look at my laptop, and directly just like read it out, because that's what I feel comfortable in. Maybe that's something to work upon, to even be able to create these like shorter videos, but from just talking points instead of like reading a full script. And something I've realized is, even in these scripts, because I am only 20 and because I haven't really experienced life that deeply yet, I tend to sort of, I don't know, build upon the experiences of others or things that I've heard from people. And there's like a aspect of fiction in my videos. And I remember feeling really smart when I had once mentioned it in the start of the video that everything I've ever said and everything I'll ever say is a work of fiction. So I was trying to address how, like, on vaARTalap, a lot of like the scripts, the videos, and a lot of things that I say are sort of exaggerated, are sort of fictional, so that I pull in the attention, I pull in the viewer, or I sort of like, I don't know, that's what makes sense to me. That's how I think I would engage someone into the story. And I remember like I was getting really not concerned, but I was sort of thinking that I got a comment on some video or maybe a DM, I don't remember exactly. And this person was talking about, I think they commented on, I don't want to be an artist, and they were like showing concern. And the thing is that parts of that video were were clearly in my eye, but apparently not to the viewer, were clearly in my eye an exaggeration, because the whole idea of that video sort of came up from, for the longest time, I had been told that, artists are like messy and they can't stay organized, they have erratic mood swings, and they're supposed to look like this and be like this, and they can't keep friendships and whatever. And for the longest time, I believed that. And when I saw, like, when I was trying to compare myself from this sort of mold of an artist, I was just like, hey, I really don't fit it. I like being organized. I like this. I like that. This is like in complete contradiction and all of that. And that's sort of where the idea came from. And then it sort of took a different direction, and it sort of became like really melancholic. And I think some people didn't get that it was an exaggeration, but then fair enough. It's like not their fault that they didn't get that I was exaggerating something. Wow. Yeah, it really isn't their fault, but I think I wanted to sort of like bring this up, address this, talk about this, that a lot of things that I say are exaggerated and they are not true. Which seems like wrong. Like, if I'm talking about something, shouldn't it be true? That's when I talk about it. But I don't know, like, to make something interesting, I think you have to tell a few lies. But I don't look at the like scripts that I write or the like videos that I make as lies, just like slight exaggerations. That is that. And also another thing that I was that I had noticed is that a lot of the videos and a lot of the ways that I've tried to tell a story is by creating a conflict and creating this sort of, I don't want to be an artist, or I hate winters, or cancel winter, or I don't want to be 20 or whatever. And then by the end of it, in most if not all videos, I try to resolve that by like saying that, or no, like throughout the video I try to resolve that by saying like what are the good parts, what are the redeeming qualities. And I'm sort of trying to take myself on this journey that like, hey, this was the conclusion that you came upon, or this was what you believed in, but the truth is not just limited to this, and then sort of bring it to the positive. But then it feels like I'm like, especially with the initial idea that's perpetuated, it feels like I am exploiting the negativity of our generation, or the sort of sadness that our generation feels, because we relate a lot to sadness, mental health, be that like because our mental healths are trash, or because like we have been living through like a very weird time recently, and even before that, like a lot of depression, a lot of like I know like a lot of people that I know have just casually said that I do not want to exist today. And like, that's kind of concerning. Maybe we need therapy, but like, it's a feeling that all of us relate to, and sort of using these negative ideas of I don't, or this is bad, or whatever, or like sort of using that in a video, or as like a premise of a video, seems disingenuous, seems at least a little disingenuous. This is just when I try to criticize myself. This is like my inner self critique talking. Critique. No, you give critique, you are a critic. Yeah. So my inner self critic sort of like brings up these points, and I'm like, you know what, that's valid. And just in general, like, I want to sort of shift a little bit away from like being that negative. But then again, like, negativity sells, I guess. You see, I'm in a little bit of a dilemma. But anyways, not something that cannot be resolved. I will work on that in the future, or maybe not. Because right now, I think I have like a pattern that works, at least in my head. Like, it seems like a good way of trying to tell a story. Yes, with that being said, now I'm going to look at my talking points, because I can't figure out how to segue into the next, or like what next to talk about. Okay. I remember so I had opened like a poll, or like you could like send in your questions on Instagram for Life's Great and Other Lies. And one of the questions that I got is that, do you think art should have any meaning? I remember being obsessed with meaning at like an earlier stage, or like being really concerned about like, what am I trying to say, what does this mean, does it have like, does this reflect like my current scenario, what am I trying to say from this painting, whatever. And at some point in time, I realized that it doesn't necessarily have to have a meaning, because I can make pieces that make no sense, and I can make pieces that just like came out from a random idea, or just like is some, like I saw something and then I copied it, or like saw something in real life and then twisted it a little bit to make whatever I wanted to make. And that might not have any meaning. Or maybe I just made like a couple of swirls because I thought that was pretty. That might not really have an inherent quote unquote meaning to it. And that's okay. And it's also okay if my piece has like a lot of meaning, if like it represents the like friendship I've had with a certain person for like X amount of years, or if it represents how I was feeling on a particular day. And I mean, if we take it that way, every painting does have some sort of meaning. Like, at least it represents something, a state of mind, or something that you found aesthetic, or something that you didn't like, or it represents some kind of feeling. But when it comes to meaning, it could have one, it could not have one. And it's perfectly fine for either of the two to occur. Like, if you have meaning, great, good for you. If you don't, doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. And another thing that sort of like not exactly relates to this, but kind of does, is how like right now I know for a lot of other artists, and for me in general, like making art has become sort of equal to making content, and it becomes hard to just like sometimes I've seen myself rushing through a piece because, hey, I need to upload this tomorrow. Yeah, I need to take a picture of it, edit it so that I can put it up on Instagram. And the lines between like something being art and something being content are get really blurry at times, and I don't like that, because I think I make this art because I want to make it. And then making content feels a little bit of an obligation at times, because like all of us know, if you are trying to like be someone on the internet, or if you're trying to like just grow a following, you need to be posting consistently, and for that you need to make content. And not all the time, I can't schedule having ideas or making art. It's a feeling. Like if I feel like making something right now, I will make it. And at times, like if I have a week that's like either super fun or super stressful, I don't get the time, or like I don't have the urge to create, the urge to make, I can't really like schedule for that. And that's where it becomes really hard to sort of balance out the two, because over here in vaARTalap, mostly my art is my content. And the issue is that like when I don't make art for a little bit, then I don't have content. And sure, like you can sort of, let's say, like you can make contingency plans, you can batch your content or whatever, and you can like come up with all of this like pre-existing amount of work so that you can depend on it whenever needed. But that's not really my point here. My point is that even like when you're sort of scheduling it in, I can't say that, okay, on a Tuesday at like 6 p.m. I'm going to sit down to just paint. If it's practicing painting, and if I'm practicing a skill, or if I'm practicing something, that's completely different. You can schedule practice. I can schedule like, oh, this is the time I'm going to sit and sketch. But I can't really schedule like, oh, this is the time where I'm going to come up with a new painting composition idea and I'm going to like execute it, or I'm going to do this or that. But usually, even if I'm not in the mood to make art for the purpose of creating content or otherwise, what really works for me, especially because I've really been enjoying painting over the past few years. Funnily enough, I used to hate painting before this, and I used to despise it to the point that I never did it. And I used to mainly make like doodle artworks. Like I have felt tip pens from the time that I was super into doodling, and like color pencils and all of that. And primarily like my sketchbook was what I used to like make on. And now it's canvases. And it's a little bit of an issue because if like when I go to college, okay, yeah, also another update of sorts, like my college is opening up offline pretty soon. And even if like they're not opening up offline, they're calling us offline. So I am concerned about how am I going to find enough space to sit down and paint, because if like I have a huge canvas, I can't just like paint it anywhere. And yeah, so that is another thing that I have been concerned about over the past few weeks, but like I'm pretty sure it's like a problem that can be solved. Whatever, I forgot what I was talking about. Art and content, balancing the two. Yeah, so it gets hard to make that distinction, but yes, I remember now what I was talking about. What usually gets me in the mood to create is if I just sit down and take like blank canvases and prime them. If I just put a layer of like acrylic paint that is like tinted with something or whatever, that gets me in the mood to maybe want to make something. And that works pretty well. So this is just like a little bit of advice or just whatever. Like this works for me, guys. Use it if you ever need it. Okay, and I think this should be the sort of last thing that I talk about here today. And it's been something that I've been pondering over for a very long time now. And it is that what really is the point of vaARTalap? And I think I was trying to identify, like at one point I was like, you know what, I can't keep on coming with these like really eclectic ideas for videos that make sense to nobody but me, or like are like so specific that like in general like people would not relate to it. And I was just like, you know what, you should, Pasha, you should like sit down and think of a niche, think of like these people that you want to address or whatever. And then I was just like, wait, but what's the point of vaARTalap? Why are you doing this? And I remember like in a particularly dark week where I had to sort of meet a self-imposed uploading deadline, I was just like, why am I making these videos? What's the point of making these videos? And like, what's the point of vaARTalap? Why? And matlab, it's usually easy to just like do the thing of making the video, scripting, editing, whatever, on a good day when everything's going good. Like, it's peace. But when things are going bad, you really need to have a deeper reason for why are you doing what you're doing. And I haven't figured out mine yet, although I did talk about how like I'm trying to learn storytelling through vaARTalap. But this podcast sort of started as me thinking that, hey, I haven't heard an Indian artist talk about art. And it's branched off from that, because initially when I started, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna talk for like half an hour. And then even when I didn't have a camera to my face, talking for half an hour was a pain. Right now also it is hard, but I'm sort of, I think, getting used to it, although there are quite a lot of like retakes that keep on happening, and then issues that I run into, and then I'm like, you know what, no, this does not work, that works, whatever. But in general, like from whatever I thought vaARTalap was going to be, it went in a completely different direction. And now I'm trying to incorporate back elements of what I thought I wanted vaARTalap to be, because vaARTalap, the word literally means conversation, and I want to have more conversations in general. Hopefully when I'm on campus, you guys would get more of them, because like I have friends that I could bring on the podcast, I could talk to about random topics and whatever. And I really think like going to campus will be like a really fun experience, not just because it'll be a fun experience, but also a fun experience from the terms of like where this channel goes and like the kind of content that I make. And I'm really excited for that. Also, okay, to sort of wrap up this episode of Life's Great and Other Lies, I would highly urge you to send me topics, or like to like write, comment down below whatever you would want me to talk about in the next video, because I need to know what to talk about. I can't talk about these very specific topics that only make sense to me and are relevant to me. I mean, to an extent, this is just this is a diary entry. And I think when I'm like older and I'm looking back, these videos will give me a greater insight into what I was thinking. Ki like, yaar, chal kya raha tha iske dimag mein? It's like a journal, but everybody in the world has access to it. Just very fun. And if in case you actually did end up making it till here, which is like, wow, thank you so much. God bless you for like making it till here, because a very tiny fraction of the people who see these videos end up to this point, to the end. And thank you for listening to me. I hope if you were doing dishes, or if you're painting, your painting's most probably not over, but if you're doing dishes or just like any other chore, I hope that that's over, and I hope that you didn't click off before. All right. That's been that. That's all I had to say for now. I will hopefully film another episode of Life's Great and Other Lies after my midterm of term 3, or maybe before. You know what? If I have something on my mind, or if I have a lot of things that have happened over a course of a period of time, then I will film this. And until next time, I will see you, or I won't see you, you'll see me. All right. Okay. Good night. Take care. Have fun. I am bad with outros. That's why I usually don't do them. Okay. Bye bye.